Hello all, today I'm talking about a new slasher film, I Know What You Did Last Summer, which is a sequel to the 1998 film I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, and is the fourth film in this franchise overall. And I hope that with this one we get an actual trilogy out of this franchise, because the third film that I think came out in 2006, that one doesn't count because it was trash, but this one actually has Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. Reprising their roles as Julie and Ray. And I do think in this one they are more side characters compared to the main characters. However, we do have a very similar plot line to the original. We've got a bunch of teenagers who inadvertently cause an accident, and then they cover it up, and then a year later they start to receive threatening text messages and letters, and the fishermen start to pick them off one by one. And then you've got Julie and Ray, who now seem to be helping them get through the chaos and helping them solve the mystery of it all. So I actually won tickets to this film as part of a competition with Lad Bible, and the question was, in 25 words or less, tell us, in a horror film, if you could choose between being the betrayer, the comic relief, and the final girl, who would you be and why? And I wrote down the final girl because at the end of every month I'm always bleeding anyway, like the final girl always is. I hate menstruating. That's what I wrote down, and they sent me tickets and I was like, hell yes, let's do this. I'm so ready. I do think that this film would not have been the same without the return of Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. I do think that they make this franchise now, having them return, and I think that this film will be catered towards more of a younger generation with a whole new cast, and then you've got a fresh spin on the fisherman being more of a copycat this time. So I'm very happy that they are returning, and I did hear that in an interview Jennifer Love Hewitt said that she did get a push from her fans to come back for this one. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but if it was a joke. I wouldn't be surprised if it was true, because like I said, I don't think it would have been the same without them. I know Madeline Klein will be in this one, and she's in Outer Banks, and she did do a good job in that series, so I'm curious to see her in this. I don't think I've seen her in anything else. And we also have Jonah Hauer-King, I think that's how you pronounce it, who was in The Little Mermaid. So aside from these four, I don't actually know any other cast members in this one. And I don't think that the original fisherman will be coming back for this. I mean, the last sequel, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, did show that he survived. So I don't know what happened to him. Again, I don't even remember what happened in the direct-to-video sequel, if he was in that one or not. I don't know, who knows? We'll just have to see if he comes back. Even if he does make a cameo, which would be cool, I do highly doubt it. And I know that a lot of people didn't really like the original sequel to the first film because it was cheesy and there was some dumb choices that were made. I think that the Will Ben's son plot twist was stupid. But it was a fun 90s slasher. There were some fun kills. It was set in a different location, so they moved it from Southport to the Bahamas. There was a really hot cast as well, and Brandy's in it. I love Brandy. And Jennifer Love did mention in the same interview where she said that fans were begging her to come back to stick around in the credits. So maybe there's an extra scene with one of the OG cast members like Brandy, or maybe even the fisherman. Again, who knows? I'm not gonna expect that going into it, but I think that would be a really nice surprise if there was an extra scene with someone from one of the original films. I haven't rewatched any of the older films recently, but I did rewatch the trailers, and they do really have that 90s feel to them, and they've got that guy, I don't know if anyone remembers that guy who used to narrate a lot of the horror and thriller films from the 90s and even the early 2000s, who has that really deep voice.
Nobody deserves a vacation more than Julie James, but she can never escape her past. I still know what you did last summer.
I know what you did last summer? Ooh!
Yes, there was, a bit of cheesiness with these films, but again, they are most definitely part of that collection of iconic 90s slashers. You have Wes Craven's New Nightmare, Scream, Urban Legend, Cherry Falls, and even Valentine, which was 2001. They are all part of around the same decade, and they're all just, in my opinion, so iconic, and I grew up with them. So again, watching them, if I was to watch them for the first time now, they definitely wouldn't hit as hard, because I think back then they were catered more towards a younger audience. And I just think, there's just so much nostalgia to them, and I'm really hoping that we can get that back with this new legacy sequel, and that a lot of millennials and fans of the original films go into this, and everyone's just having a really good time. So I am leaving shortly to go check this one out. I will come back and share my thoughts with you guys, whether or not it's worth checking out in the cinemas or at home, let you know some things I liked, some things I didn't like, and yeah, I can't wait to watch it, and I will be back shortly to share my thoughts. Alright, so this, yes, will be a spoiler-free review. I feel like I won't really be able to say all that much. This will be a polarizing film, especially towards the ending. Yes, I did enjoy this. I thought it was very entertaining. We had a packed cinema. Everyone was having a really good time. People were gasping, cheering. My friend who I took with me screamed a couple times. There was even one scene towards the end where people were clapping with this one-liner that was actually shown in the trailer. If you've seen the trailer, you probably know what one-liner that is. And yeah, it was entertaining. It was a fun watch, especially with a crowd. I do recommend seeing it with a crowd if you can. And if you need to stay for the post-credit scene, absolutely. And in my opinion, it was probably one of the best scenes in the film. So I will get into some things that I really liked about the film first. I think that Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. really did make this film, and the scenes with them in it actually were my favorites and really made the film what it was for me. And it really did bring back a lot of nostalgia, and I do think that fans of the original will appreciate their return. I think that in terms of the kills, there is definitely no shortage here. There is definitely a plethora of them, although they are toned down slightly in terms of gore, I think. Julie and Ray, although they are more side characters, I would say this time around, they do still have a decent amount of screen time. And there was a moment in this where I thought, oh, is that all there is to them? Are they not going to show up again? But they do show up quite a bit throughout, so I wouldn't worry about that. I personally wasn't disappointed by their lack of screen time. And I think that Julie's character does have more personality this time around compared to the first film. She is badass in this, especially during the final act. I would love to do a video on Final Girls at some point. I think if I did, Julie would definitely be up there as one of my favorites, somewhere in my top 10. And Ray is in this quite a bit as well. There is one sequence in this that absolutely took me by surprise. I actually had my hand over my mouth for a second. I was like, oh my gosh, this can't be real. I'm not going to say too much, but it involves a stage, I'll say that. And the big reveal at the end, I actually didn't see coming either. Again, I think this will divide audiences and will be polarizing. Personally, as a fan of the original films, I liked it. I thought it was different, and I think because my expectations, I thought it was going to be someone else, and it ended up being this person. I didn't guess it. Some people might, but I had fun with it. I don't want to go into too much detail. It's definitely not a perfect movie. I do think that some of the acting wasn't great. I wish that there was more gore in this personally, and I wish that there was more ferocity with the fisherman. I didn't think he was that brutal. I mean, there was a couple kills that were fun and were a bit wince-inducing, but yeah, I personally wish it was more intense. The ending, personally, I liked it. I do think it will be divisive amongst fans. I think that out of a lot of the slasher sequels we've gotten, this one did remind me of Scream 4, especially with the experience I had while watching the film, where I was just so nostalgic, and it was such a long time jump between the last film. So Scream 3 and Scream 4, there was like a, I think 10-11 year gap, and then this one there was like 27 years. So it just super nostalgic. Seeing the original cast return was just really fun, and having it feel like everyone in the audience is fans of the original, and everyone's just having such a good time and cheering, especially that scene at the end with that one-liner. People were clapping during that. I was really loving that vibe and the energy in the cinema. And again, I'm going to tread lightly to avoid spoilers, but the ending, similar to Scream 4, how you had the scene in the house and then the scene in the hospital, the two different showdowns, it was similar to this. Although I wish that there was a slightly more drawn out chase scene and a bit more of a showdown. But regardless, I had fun. I think I got what I wanted out of it mostly. And then, like I said, it was a surprise, the ending for me. And the post-credit scene, yes, you absolutely have to stay for it. I think, again, one of the best scenes in the film. And it just got me thinking, is this going to lead to another film after this? but we'll see. I don't think so, but it really was a fun ending, and I really do hope that people had as much fun watching this as I did. I liked it. I thought it was a fun addition to the franchise. Definitely a very entertaining slasher. Could make my top 10 horror movies of the year. We'll have to see, but definitely it won't be the best horror movie of the year. Definitely wasn't a perfect movie, and definitely would not have been the same without the original cast. I do hope, however, that you have the same experience that I had while watching this, because it was a really great time at the movies. And if you can, I do recommend checking this one out at the cinemas with a big crowd. And I really appreciate you watching. If you have seen the film, I'd be curious to know your thoughts, and I hope to have more reviews soon.